I'm wondering like how those experiences have helped shaped the program that you're building here and how you're working with students.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the way how I'm working with students is the person who I am. So I would say that those experiences shaped who I am, and that therefore has shaped how I work with students. I mean, each step in my career has been something significant. Teaching in public school in New York City, is where I first began.
Mhm.
Actually, 9/11, 2001, New York City was my second day of student teaching, and that like defined my whole teaching career. Was like service oriented from then on. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. But public schools, like old teachers telling me that I should try less because I was making them look bad, that kind of stuff was just, I can't, like, this is not for me. I'm young. I
Mhm.
got to get out. I got to do something different. So I headed west and I was in California and I was teaching like Silicon Valley, like high upper echelon types. I was tutoring like in their kids and like these like castles on top of the hills, and it was amazing. And I was also like, anyone could be teaching these kids. Like this is not what I'm meant to be doing, you know? So then to Belize from there. So I was building myself and understanding like what it was I was trying to do. And in Belize, I had a group of small children in the jungle. My whole class would fit in the
Mhm.
bed of my truck and we would drive out to the mango grove and climb a tree and read a book. And that was class. And it was absolutely amazing. And the humanity of teaching was really something I learned there. And really seeing each individual. Every other class, I was overwhelmed by the numbers of kids I was expected to process. But when I was able to get to know that few kids, I was able to see each
Yeah.
of their really individual selves and their families' families. Um, and that allowed me to begin to take some of my understanding of curriculum and design it to meet the individual kid, you know? Every
Mhm.
kid like started to have like a special, like, I don't know, a connection, something that I knew about that kid that I was able to help that thing to guide them, which helped me to
Mhm.
think about goals and to build habits. So then from there, I was back to New York City and I taught in the KIPP charter schools in New York City for a while. And that was totally transformational. I mean, I was absolutely out of my comfort zone. Um, I was racial minority and I struggled with that honestly. And I sought and got feedback and the feedback was hard. And that's what I learned there was to take feedback like that I had never really taken before. I had to understand that there was a whole realm of things that I didn't know or understand. And that was hard for
Mhm.
me. Like I thought I knew everything, I was like, I know everything. I was so self-assured. And that was one of the real moments in my life where um I thought I was race blind, and by being race blind, I was not actually acknowledging that race defines someone's interaction. And to be blind is
Mhm.
not enough. It's to be aware and to be supportive and to be anti-racist, and that's where that awoke in me, that understanding of it. But that was my New York City experience. And then
Mhm.
I brought that up to Vermont, where I had learned so much in New York about incentive-based programs and how to like have a relationship first with kids and that if they trusted you, then they could learn better from you and building that rapport with kids. And so that was what I did at BBA was I offered a place for some kids to connect who wouldn't connect otherwise. And that so everything was leading me to that, everything was a step in that direction, which helped me to develop my curriculum and my sense of how I work with kids.
Also too, like you can see like just the fact that like students like me and Michaela and Dylan who have worked with you when we were in high school, who are now coming back to want to support the program. It's like such a full circle moment.
Yeah.
And I only hope that a lot of these other students who are now coming into the core confidence program and working through this method and working with you or are able to kind of come back and really understand how valuable this is. And I also think that now this being a separate program outside of a single institution like BBA, we're able to see students from a lot of different places be able to reap the benefits of this.
Yeah, I would love to be able to have a map. Like I have kids from North Carolina, Arkansas, Florida, Washington, Oregon, Illinois. It's all over. For what it's worth, out of 5 stars, the three kids in the first class gave it 4.67 stars. So that was an anonymous survey, and also the same number of kids, 4.67, uh, said that they were likely to keep using the strategies that they learned. in the core confidence program. So my meager stats are off to a good start. Check back in 6 months. Check back in like a couple weeks actually, because I have
We'll check back in about 6 to 7 months.
yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I'm still building, but hey, I have some numbers that I can speak about now. The timing is
Yeah.
good. But I do think
Um,
kids are taking advantage of it to just answer like what you were saying a little bit of the conversations I'm having with them are authentic. They're on their level.
mhm.
I'm able to have a little bit of that like humor with them once you build a rapport and kids trust you.
Oh yeah.
And with all of them, there's a clear thing that they've all changed, which is an awareness. Like not all of them have mastered their habits yet, but all of them have clear goals. All of them have an awareness of what's going on and what their barriers are. Sometimes they still struggle to overcome those barriers, but the awareness is super, super important.
Hmm.
And then from there, beyond the 12 weeks, there's ongoing opportunities. So, office hours, I started to mention that earlier a little bit. There's office hours are 4 times a week for an hour. And so I'm in like the main office, and then Michaela and Dylan are on side offices. And a kid comes in and checks in with me, and we like decide what the task is. And if it's like quiet, sustained work, and maybe they'll go over to Dylan and he's got some like lo-fi music playing, and they check in and they get their work, and he's holding them accountable and just giving them like a body double virtually, but it's something.
Yeah.
And then Michaela is in the other room, and if a kid comes in, maybe with a math science question, she's able to answer those questions, or also another body doubling environment, depending on what's needed for what kid. And then if I have to check in with the kid about like some mentoring stuff and encourage them in something that they're struggling with, I can kind of hold down that main office and have that conversation, and the kids can pass through. So it's a really unique structure, but that can extend beyond the 12 weeks. But I don't want kids to just, what I don't want is the kids to clog up the office hours who aren't like bought in and aware of what we're doing. That's kind of like, when I was like a teacher, I mean, I hate to say it, but like there's kids that like bog the environment down, and like it's hard. Like you know what you're doing as a teacher, and you're able to support most of the kids really well. And then there's one or two kids that are really struggling, and I get that they're really struggling, and you're trying to help them, but put so much energy into trying to help that kid. And I think in this environment, because I'm keeping it so low numbers, the ratio is like, if I have three or more, I'm gonna have a second teacher. So there's never going to be like too many kids to teachers, and the kids can all get the individual attention they need. Because otherwise it's
That's
just so
fantastic.
overwhelming.
Like, how would you describe the core confidence program for people who don't really know what it is?
Yeah. So that's pretty it's basically what I was doing at BBA. I took success as I understood it, and what I was trying to do with success, which was goals, habits, growth, is really what it came down to. And I said, okay, well, I've built goals, habits, growth for BBA, but I really feel really strongly about this way that I work with kids, and how can I move that beyond BBA and offer goals, habits, growth and some new Genesis online. So that's what core is. I mean, core is clarify, which starts with what goal do you want, clarifying your goal. There's goals, habits, growth, right? And then it's organize for success and refine your habits, so which again, building habits. And then finally, it's elevate the mindset, which is growth. So I've taken this success thing and I've tried to make it something available to anybody. Not that it wasn't available to anybody at BBA. We had all sorts of
Yeah.
people that were there, but this is now available to anyone. Really, I guess in the world, we haven't gone international. I don't know. I don't know how to reach that market yet. I'm still,
Franchise.
yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it. But I'm not at that speed growth yet. Although it is doing really well. I mean, I have
Yeah.
classes that are thriving, and kids that I feel like I'm connecting with from all sorts of different situations.
Yeah, I know
So
that was definitely one of my experiences when I went through the success program at BBA with you, was just like the variety of students coming in who could use these services. Because I don't think it's limited. Like, I don't even think there's anybody out there who wouldn't gain something from this. Um,
that's a good point. Because like I do work with neurodivergent kids, let's say, but I'm not a doctor. I don't require a prescription. I don't diagnose. I'm just there as a teacher. And so I don't, I mean, I think any kid could benefit, like you're saying, from, I don't ask them to show how much ADHD they have to be in my program. I'm
Yeah.
bringing things that anyone can benefit from. Actually, it's a phrase, universal design, is something we talk about in my class.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like the curbs on the sidewalk are helpful for everyone. They're helpful for the people in the wheelchair, but also in the snow, or just for everyone not having to step into the road. So the universal design makes things better for everyone. So that's kind of how we approach the work with the kids. Is we're talking about best practices. We're helping them make decisions for themselves. We're asking them questions. And then they are creating a path for how they want to grow and develop. And we are supporting that path.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, what now it takes place over 12 weeks, right? The program. What does that look like?
Yeah. So like the initial, there's a 12-week class. It's twice a week for an hour. And that's building a common set of language. Like I say, goals have its growth, and you know what I'm talking about because we've had so
Yeah.
many conversations about each of those things over the years. Um, and so I want to get there with the kids before I begin a mentorship with them. If we're going to build a mentorship, I think there has to be a common understanding first, because the mentorship will only work so far as people can trust each other and understand each other. So we start with the 12-week class that walks them through, those units of clarifying their objective and then organizing and building tools, refining their habits, having conversations. It's a small group class, so there's 5 kids or less in the class. And I've actually recruited some alumni also to co-teach with me. I've got Michaela Town is co-teaching.
So
And
exciting.
she's a junior and she's studying psychiatry, so she's going to be a doctor. It's just
Yeah, this
amazing.
must be right up her alley then.
Yeah, totally. And she's got herself some neurodivergencies as well as her siblings. And then also Dylan Capusta is the other one who's also he's holding down with Michaela in the office hours.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
so we're really getting like a lot of people supporting the kids with refining the habits and maintaining the growth mindset. So the class is 12 weeks. We meet twice a week for an hour. Um, and I try to keep it moving, just knowing who the population is, that I don't want to be talking to myself for too long, even though I do like the sound of my own voice.
Me too, don't we all?
Uh, the classes are ranging from, 2 kids to 4 kids. I've had some 5 student classes, but then schedules change, so the kids are changing classes. I really try and keep it individualized as much as possible.
Yeah, so it's flexible for students,
I want to make it accessible for them, and for
Yeah.
families. That's like, I mean, obviously there's a price with the class, but
Hmm.
I always want to like first see if it's a good fit for the kid. And if it is, I'd rather have someone, I'd rather have a class with 5 kids in it and have a full class and have someone paying less than someone else. And I don't care about
Hmm.
that stuff. I'd rather have a thriving environment where everyone is getting what they need. So I've always tried to be flexible, I'm trying to say, and working with people and figuring out
Yeah.
paying for a class, um, because it's a benefit for all the kids to have a full, vibrant, community. What I
Oh,
want my kids, I
yeah,
want to be there.
for sure. And what ages do you work with?
I have 2 groups. I have a JV group, which is middle schoolers. So
Hmm.
I've had 11-year-olds. They're a little harder. They're not quite. They're starting to develop their brains, but not quite there. But the 12, 13, 14-year-olds, that's a good strong JV group.
Hmm.
And then I have a varsity group, which is high schoolers. So the 14-year-olds could be on either side, depending on how mature they are and what situation they're in with their schooling.
Yeah.
Again, I try and be flexible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the curriculum is basically the same for both the groups. It's just the level of conversation and the speed of conversation changes with the high schoolers than it does with the middle schoolers. But always sooner intervention is better, always if you can reach a kid like before they feel overwhelmed, it's easier than trying to fix it after they've reached that point.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I was in like the sixth grade, I started going to tutoring, and a lot of that was, I think, what you're doing here with the core confidence program, where, I didn't necessarily need somebody to walk me through my math homework, but having somebody there to just like help me if I did need that and like show me how to set up my homework and how to kind of work through those organizational skills and those kind of life skills of doing those things
Yeah,
because it was overwhelming for me during that time.
a good tutor you had.
We're still friends today. So and then I also like I felt like when I got into the success program, it was almost like an extension of that as well. And actually even a little bit more fine-tuned into what I needed